So we found out if I'm having boys or girls. Hey guys, Sarah here with the Yarn Lab Knitting for Twins weekly vlog. And first of all, I just want to say Knitting for Twins, the title. Well, I don't just knit, I do a lot of crocheting too, but Knitting for Twins just seems to sort of roll off the tongue a little bit easier. So for now, that's the title I'm going to go with for this vlog. If you can think of something catchier that sort of encompasses a wider view of fiber arts, then go ahead and suggest something in the comments below. But for now, it'll be Knitting for Twins, which will include crochet for sure, and maybe even a little bit of spinning as well. So we're gonna start off with baby update. I am now 19 weeks, so that's past the halfway point for twins, and everything's been going great. I'll show you my baby bump here. Alright, so here it is, the 19 weeks baby bump, and it's growing slow and steady. Still wearing the same pants that I did before pregnancy, just fewer of them fit comfortably anymore as this bump is starting to get a little bit more in my way. It's crazy how quickly things are growing. I think I might only have like 2 weeks left before I officially can't zip up my winter coat anymore, and we'll have to look for some sort of like winter coat expander because we still got a couple more months of very cold weather here in Calgary. Babies are growing really great. We just had our 18 weeks anatomy scan, and they had their fingers and toes measured and everything's perfect. But the big take-home piece of excitement from that scan was we found out the gender of our babies. So we already knew that we were going to have a match set since earlier ultrasounds indicated that they would in fact be identical twins, but Kevin and I really didn't have a strong feeling either way about whether it would be boys or girls. So it was a big surprise for us when the ultrasound technician turned to us and said, "Congratulations, you're having 2 boys." So like any good yarn addict, the very first thing that I did when I found out I'd be having boys was dig through my entire stash and pull out anything that I had that was blue or a little bit of green that would be perfect and inspiring for knitting for the boys. So you can see I've got my yarn tree set up next to my couch, full of all kinds of yarny goodness, different textures. Some of it's commercial, some of it's hand spun, some of it's acrylic, and some of it are natural fibers. So lots that I can work with, lots of inspiration here for the boys. I can't wait to start knitting as much little boy stuff as I possibly can. It's really exciting. So with that in mind, let's go on to finished projects. So first up, from last week, you might remember it, I have the In a Pear Tree cardigan, and this is by Ravelry user The Barbarian Horde. It's a free pattern, and I will go ahead and link to the Ravelry download for the pattern in the description below. I knit the cardigan from some hand-dyed recycled yarn that I had in my stash. I dyed this colorway up myself, and it's a combination of baby blues, bright blues, pinks, and purples. And prior to knowing the baby's gender, I thought maybe this would be a fun, sort of gender-neutral, gender surprise kind of colorway, since it had both pinks and blues. But when I knit up the finished cardigan, I really think, although it is showing a little bit more blue on the camera right now, in real life it is quite pink and purple. So it's a little bit too girl. Since I have dyed this yarn once before, I do know that it takes color fairly well. It's got a high natural wool content as well as some nylon in it, which will also take up acid dyes. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little over dyeing experiment to see if I can't get a dark blue with mottled sort of purples on it out of this sweater. And if I can get that to happen, then I'll go ahead and use my other skein to knit up another project for the other baby and over dye that one as well. So if you're interested at all in seeing how I'm going to go ahead and over dye this baby sweater, you should totally subscribe to my channel because I'll be uploading the video in which I either have dyeing success or failure later this week. Next up is the super cute rainbow spiral cushion. So the inspiration behind this cushion is that I really didn't want to do a nursery that was all pastel baby blues for boys, or if it had been girls, I didn't want to do an all pastel pink nursery for girls. I really like the idea of just doing bright colors, bright primary colors for a baby's room, and so I had some yarn in my stash that I thought would be perfect for that. This is yarn that I dyed and spun myself. I had 3 skeins of it, and you can see that it is a rainbow gradient colorway. And I had started this project for the cushion front a while ago. As for the yarn itself, like I said, this is hand dyed and hand spun. It's on the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes roving bear that you can buy from their website. So what I did was I took the bear roving and dyed it up into 6 distinct colors and then blended it on hand cards in order to create roll legs that would give me a gradient, like a slow gradient throughout the color wheel. Spun that up as a single and then plied it with some undyed white single that I had, and it gave me a really great sort of color gradient yarn. And you can kind of see the full gradient here in the cake of the yarn. So we have purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red around the outside. And one skein, and I believe I've got about 140 yards on each skein, gave me enough to do this awesome spiral in a good size for a cushion. The white yarn and the contrast in the spiral is just Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Bear. It's the 100% superwash wool. And although I had started out the pillow topper for this a while ago, this week I started and finished the back, and it's just a growing circle in half double crochet, so really straightforward. I stuffed it up today. It's super squishy, and I think it'll look great maybe on a rocking chair or something in the baby's room. And I will say there is no pattern for this. It's just a straightforward increasing spiral and then a flat crocheted circle. But if people are interested, I will go ahead and just write up the pattern and put it up for free on my blog. So next up I have a pair of crocheted slippers for myself, and I'll go ahead and show you what these look like.
So here they are, really cute little slippers with pink toes, and they came out of issue number 59 of the UK version of Molly Makes. It was came out just before Christmas. I have this problem where I love to buy Molly Makes, one of the greatest sort of overall general crafty magazines, but I need to force myself to actually do some more of the projects in the magazine. So because this was a Christmas edition, they had a section with some easy slippers that could be done, a pair that would be sewn, a pair that would be crocheted, and a pair that could be upcycled from sweaters. And this pair with the neon toes and cream colored base stood out to me, so I thought I had to make them for myself.
And the pattern is by Meredith Crawford, who you guys might know from her blog One Sheepish Girl. It's a really great blog. I highly recommend, and the link can be found in the description below. The slippers are just made from some worsted weight acrylic that I had in my stash. They only took an afternoon to crochet up. In fact, I did it while watching Unbreakable on Netflix, so it was a really quick project to finish up for myself, and I really like the way they turned out. So that's all I have for finished projects, so let's go ahead and take a look at what I have on the needles right now. I've been pushing myself to be a little bit more creative in my knitting. I've been knitting for, I don't know, like 10, 15 years, as long as I can remember really. My grandmother taught me when I was a fairly young age, and I really got into knitting as a real hobby as opposed to just something that I knew how to do probably about 6-7 years ago. So I think it's time that I kind of push outside the comfort zone of following other people's patterns, and I thought knitting for your babies is a great way to experiment and explore with my own pattern design. So I thought I would start with something a little bit easy first. So to that extent, what I've been working on is a pair of baby leggings. If you're not familiar with the idea, especially because my babies will be born in June, and they'll probably wear a lot of like the little undershirt onesies with bare legs, but if it's a little bit chilly, you can just slide these on, and they're super cute and keep them really warm. So love the idea of leggings on babies. The pair that I'm working on now comes from yarn that I picked up at Wet Coast Wools in Vancouver, BC. I bought it this summer, and it's been sitting around waiting for the perfect project. You can see that it's super squishy in this beautiful blue and gray color. The yarn is by Rain City Knits. She's an indie dyer located in Vancouver, and it's a 100% superwash merino DK base, and the colorways are Heather Gray and Bright Aqua. I love the way that these colors look together, and I think that it reads boy, but kind of fun and bright and a little bit more modern than some of the boy blues that are more traditional. I finished one legging, and I'll try to include a close-up photo of the legging here since the lighting is not great in my apartment to see the pattern. But it's straightforward, knit in the round with a slip stitch pattern that is sort of Greek scroll inspired. And I've got the second legging cast on and started, but really only like a quarter of the way there. However, because they are so small, they work up really fast. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a second pair of leggings with the same colors, but with a different pattern in the center. Because I really like the idea of having the twins in clothes that is a little bit matching, but not too like identical matchy-matchy. So a set of 4 leggings that are 2 pairs that are a little bit different will be kind of fun. And I'm knitting these guys as part of the February Technique knit along for a local yarn shop here in Calgary. That's the Loop here in Kensington. And the technique for this month is knitting in the round, which I do a fair amount of. And if I'm doing small projects, I'm not a master of the magic loop, but I really do enjoy knitting on double points, particularly for small projects, wooden double points, since they don't tend to slip out the way that metal ones do. And these are just really cheap, I think like from the craft section at Michael's, bamboo wooden double points, but they get the job done. So that's, I guess, the information about that. So that's all I've got for this week. Last week some of you guys left suggestions in the comments for your favorite baby knitting patterns, and I had a really great time clicking through some of those, and we'll probably be knitting some in the future. But I'm gonna go ahead and ask you for knitting patterns once again. Now that you know I'll be having 2 boys, I'm looking for particularly cute little baby sweaters that kind of read hipster grandpa maybe. I think that little boys look really adorable when they're sort of dressed as old men. So that'll be sort of the style of knitting that I'd like to do in the next couple months before the boys come here. So thanks for watching to the end. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. We'll be having weekly Knitting for Twins vlog updates every Monday, and more videos with fun yarn skills from the Yarn Lab throughout the week. That's all for now, and happy knitting!